Welcome to the Great British Mickey Waffle, the podcast that brings you all the latest news, insights and stories from the wonderful world of Disney. I'm Robin. I'm having my very first go at hosting, so I hope you'll be gentle with me. Today we'll be talking about something a little further away from the parks, and that's Disney's Vero Beach Resort, one of my favourite places. So grab your resort mug, I won't tell if there's gin in there, put on your Mickey ears and get ready for a fun and informative chat with us at the Great British Mickey Waffle. So tonight I'd like to welcome fellow wafflers, Simon. Nice
Hello.
to see you. Haven't seen you for a while.
Hi.
And also Ben. How
Hi,
you doing,
Robin.
Ben?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I'm excited for tonight.
Enjoying this warm weather we're having?
Oh yeah, I've got the fan right next to me. And also John, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Robin. It's good. Do you know something? This is really exciting because for ages and ages, I've been wanting to just get out of that little Disney bubble and do a show where we go and explore some of the places around Florida, which for a lot of people, you kind of, when you're planning, you think, oh, that might be a nice idea. And then suddenly you put your sensible head on and you think, no, let's just stay in the area of 192. We'll stick with what we know. But actually, there's loads out there. And this is our first foray into hopefully something that can become a little bit of a series with the Great British Mickey Waffle. And we can go and explore and actually recommend places that actually are just so superb that they'll actually work their way into your planning for your next trip. I'll put the usual sort of precursor in there. We don't accept any responsibility for costing you more money for your next Florida trip. I know it's bound to happen, but it's just one of those things that if we don't say it, someone will come and say, well, you recommended it, so you can pay for it.
So John, have you been to Disney's Vero Beach Resort before?
Yeah, I've been twice, and usually it's ended up being tagged onto the end of a holiday, and it's been a stop-off point on the way back down to Miami. Just purely from a planning point of view, is I wouldn't like to get in the car at 7 a.m. in Orlando to try and get an evening flight at 7 p.m. out of Miami. I need to be a little bit closer to the airport. Just so I don't have that little sort of bit where you get stuck and you start thinking, oh my word, the flight is going to leave without me. So we kind of dipped into Vero Beach a couple of times, and I still wish we'd been there a bit more. There's so much to actually see, so much to explore. And the actual hotel, the Disney hotel itself, is just the most amazing place. And I think we'll talk about that as the show progresses. But it's not something I don't think Disney actually promote it really highly.
I agree. I think
it's a little secret hidden bit, along with Hilton Head, which is up right at the top of the Florida Panhandle, and they don't really push it across because it is essentially a DVC resort. So let's get that out of the way first.
Yeah,
that's the only reason I've heard of it. It's like, oh, where else can I stay on my Disney Vacation Club timeshare? It's like, okay, that'd be nice. Alani, which we saw about before, and it's one of those but Vero Beach has always been on the list. We've just not yet made it.
It's one of the places, though, Ben, that is available if you look on different booking sites like Expedia, etc. But also if you look on the Disney site, they occasionally have special offers, usually during the height of summer, because it's not a popular resort, simply because as we found with Claire last month, with the hurricane season very often occurring in that sort of September window, you can actually pick up some real bargains. August, September time, but obviously do look at the weather forecast before you book. But also make sure you get a free cancellation. So if something does happen, you can actually cancel up to like basically on the day you're meant to arrive. So it does pay to do that.
I have seen it where if the resort has closed in the past for a hurricane. And what Disney do is they find you rooms. If you're booked in or you're already there, they'll find you a room in Walt Disney World. So although the whole point is we want to go to Vero, however, Disney are pretty good at relocating you if there is a hurricane on the horizon. They are pretty good. So that a little bit of peace of mind anyway. So Ben, you've not been before, so we're here to convince you why you need to go.
Apparently I need to spend more DVC points and go to Vero Beach. Yeah, it's been on the list, but it's just we've never ventured outside the Disney bubble enough to stay. So
I think Ben, I think that's basically, I think that's kind of the people that who are listening to this. You'll probably find yourself sort of Googling an awful lot of what we're talking about in this show, because what you'll find is like, I never thought of that. And also, I'll put it this way: I went after we'd been the first time. I liked it so much. I bought the golf shirt. You know, it's just like it goes without saying. So again, I stay on brand. Even if we're talking about Vero Beach, I've still got a T-shirt that will actually last.
I think this should be a challenge for you, John. It's like, okay, we need to name a topic, and we need to see if John has a matching T-shirt.
It is.
See how obscure this could be.
Yeah, if anyone's watching on YouTube, go and have a look at how many different T-shirts I managed to get in, and just stay on topic with the T-shirt. It's one of those little things that I like to.
If your camera ever goes off during the show, are you doing like a wardrobe change? Change the topic.
We need to do that. We need to have a two-center podcast and see if John can quickly get changed.
That would be good. No. You've set me a challenge now. That's great.
So for anyone who's never heard of Vero Beach Resort, no idea what we're talking about, it's, as we said, it's a Disney Vacation Club resort. There's different ways you can book. So as John said, sometimes you can find it on different travel websites. Usually the best and cheapest way to stay there is to rent points of an owner, a DVC owner that is. So that's usually the cheapest way. If you ever need any help with that and you're not quite sure what I'm talking about, my DMs are always open. Drop us a message and we'll definitely help you there. But it's over on the Atlantic side. It's about an hour and 45 minutes drive from the Walt Disney World. And it's, as John said, it's a little bit closer to Miami. So it's great if you're flying in or out of Miami as a little stop off. Okay. It's how far? It's about maybe 45 minutes, half an hour from Cape Canaveral and Cocoa Beach. So if you've been over there before, you kind of get an idea of what the sea looks like there, and it's a little bit further down. But I definitely think it's one of the biggest kept secrets. Best kept secrets, biggest kept secrets, both.
Yes.
How far would you say it's from Melbourne Airport?
From Melbourne.
It's about half an hour.
Fly there now, so it's
that's a good point.
I'd say it's between 30 and 40 minutes.
Oh, that's not
it actually depends which route you take.
Ask Simon how he knows. Go on.
I worked in Melbourne and I was staying at Vero Beach. And I was driving up to Melbourne a couple of times. But it depends which route you take. You can do the coastal road along the actual beach fronts. And that tends to be a bit slower, or you can hop over to the other side of the Indian River and drive up that way. And that's usually a little bit quicker because the road's a bit faster. But it's really easy to get to anything along there because you kind of just drive east from Disney World and then you're onto the kind of fast coast road that runs north to south through all of those beach kind of front areas. So it's really easy if you're getting off a cruise or you want somewhere to stay before a cruise. Mm-hmm. If you're flying into Melbourne with TUI, and as Robin said, if you're coming up and down from Miami or anywhere in between, it's kind of really ideally located. Weirdly, it's not actually in Vero Beach. It's actually in Webasto, so it's slightly just north of Vero, and kind of near Sebastian Inlet as well. So it's kind
it's
of
not
midway
in a
between the
city
two.
centre. It's like kind of on its own, not completely on its own, but it's on like a really quiet run of the beach. So I think it's got definitely, if you like peace and quiet, you want a bit of relaxing time after you've had the mad time on in the parks. You want a couple of days just to chill, put your feet up, have a cocktail, have a Dole Whip.
Yeah, especially at the end of a trip as well, when it's like you've had like 2 weeks of I've been in the parks, and then it's just like getting towards the end of the holiday. It's like I know I'm going back home soon, but I just need to have that bit to relax. So it sounds
absolutely.
Sort of like
that's exactly what it is, though, and it is so cut off from everything. And I think that's maybe something that if you are planning on going there, be prepared to actually eat at the hotel. Don't try and scrimp and save and think, oh, we can get in the car and we can go somewhere else. It's actually, you are just in a beautifully secluded and just peaceful environment, and you wouldn't want to go anywhere else, because you actually, the minute you walk into the hotel, I think the one thing that hits you is the fact that you go from being landlocked within the Orlando area, and you can get to see the sea again. And certainly, as a person who lives beside the sea in the UK, that's a big thing for me. I get a great deal of solace of being able to go and just have that moment where you're just overlooking the sea and you go, yes, everything's fine. And be that in Clearwater, be that in Vero, it is such a brilliant way to just change your mindset from that craziness that becomes the theme parks. And it is what the one thing that really interested me when I first went there was the fact you could always tell the British people. So, and for our American listeners, you'll find this quite hilarious, because most British people, when you go for the first time, it's always Vero Beach. I'm going to Vero Beach. And then when you turn up and you realise I'm mispronouncing this, I better change my pronunciation because I feel very British. And it very quickly becomes Vero Beach. And you suddenly like, okay, I was wrong. And it's one of them. It is one of them British things that we always say it wrong.
Yeah.
But
I would like to point out that I always said it right.
There you go. I've
always known it's Vero Beach because that's what it said on the DVD from Disney Vacation Club.
Yeah,
I'm cheating, but yeah.
To be fair, I'd probably heard it pronounced at some point. That's probably where it came from. But John, I've got a question for you. So you mentioned Clearwater Beach, which is over the other side of the coast.
Yeah.
What do you think are some of the differences? Like what is different about Vero than Clearwater? And why would you go to Vero rather than Clearwater? Obviously, Clearwater, crystal clear waters. Vero's over on the Atlantic side.
Yeah.
What is it for you that drives you, apart from going to Miami Airport?
There's a few things. I think I would also point out that there's sort of mitigating pluses for both sides of Florida. And
absolutely,
they are completely different. I must admit, I do like the West Coast because the sea is an awful lot warmer. The very mention of the Atlantic Ocean brings to mind a certain Billy Connolly joke of going into the North Sea and losing sort of certain parts of your anatomy and being frozen off. And actually, it doesn't matter if you're in mid-August, you still see the water as it's coming in can become very rough. And so, again, a little bit of a planning thing, because I had to do it with the kids and I had to tell them, you're not going in the sea because your dad's just got into check and it's a bit too rough because he nearly drowned. And it was just like, it's one of those moments when you're thinking, okay, I'll get out and I'll pretend nothing happened. It's okay. as this big wave comes in and takes you up, and then it just takes your legs away from you because the sea was too rough. Yeah. And you've got to do that, and you've got to basically make sure it looks really good, and it sounds so good when you're actually in resort.
Oh yeah.
And you're in your hotel room overlooking the sea, and you just hear the waves. Yeah. That's perfection.
Yeah.
When you're in the sea, it's a different story, I would hasten to add. So we just stay by the pool, which is also a nice area. But the other thing as well, and I think just widening it a little bit, there's a couple of really nice golf courses locally. There's also an outlet. There's also a premium outlet that's close by in Vero as well, which was significant. Certainly up from last time we went, was significantly cheaper than the Orlando outlets as well. So
I will mention it's still cheaper, but a lot of the shops have closed.
Yeah, it would be, because it was one of them that was, it was a big, massive.
It's always empty. It's always empty. I mean, it's great to go still. I mean, we still go every time. We'll go and have a quick look, but it's not a whole day job. It's like a couple of hours.
It's a dip in. No, it's a dip in. I must admit, it was a dip in for us. And what we used to do was we used to drive around the car park. It was so big. You drive to different stores that you wanted to go to.
Yep.
But it was cheap. It was cheap, and that's my lasting impression. That anytime you ever, particularly if you're going up from Miami to Orlando, it's always worth just checking in there, because it is that saving is actually worth a night's hotel stay. Because I know the last time we were there, we spent a lot of money in Hilfiger, and some of the stuff that we've got, but some of the stuff that we got lasted so long that the actual saving we made was just like, it became year on year became massive. And I think I still got a pair of jeans that I'm still wearing, and it's just like, I think I only paid something like $20 for a pair of Hilfiger jeans, which is just ridiculous.
Simon bought quite a few clothes and paid. I think he paid things like $10 for some Lee polo shirts, and I'm sure they were like $10 or $12. It was mental, the prices. It's worth a visit.
Crazy. It is. Yeah. So that's another one onto the list as well of different reasons to go there. But I think the biggest one is just that relaxation part, and you can ask for nowhere better. And it's just it's just one of those, until you've actually been, you actually can't believe that such a place exists within Florida that belongs to Disney. You get embroiled with them.
Walt Disney World that's similar? If you had to say, like, it's similar to this in this aspect or that, was it just so unique that
I couldn't tell you what it was similar to, honestly. I don't find it.
If it was in feel, in terms of decor, I'd say Old Key West is the closest.
Because it's got the light
it's
colours.
Similar beachfront, pastel coloured beachfront Floridian architecture, but it's hard to explain that the lobby isn't anything like any of the other resorts.
So I'll tell you my favourite bit about the lobby. On the floor, it's got as if there's been turtles in the sand, so it's like a light coloured flooring, and then there's divots in it as if turtles have pushed themselves across.
Oh, that's lovely.
So cute. But what's what I asked John, but for you, why they're over Clearwater? Because I know Simon will say the same as me, really.
There's something about the people at the resort.
There we go.
You see, whenever you go there, you see the same staff. They don't have a high turnover of staff there. So year after year, you go and you see the same people. We're obviously on the Facebook group for Vero Beach Resort, and the people that work there are on the Facebook group as well. So they know when you're arriving, and they're like, "Oh, we'll see you later," and then they're there at check-in. So it's a completely different. It feels really family run for a Disney resort, that's kind of what makes it unique to in comparison to any of the other Disney resorts.
That's exactly what I would have said as well. That
probably helps that Disney don't promote it very much, because it leaves it to have that effect. Because imagine if this resort was on UK TV adverts all day, going book this instead of Walt Disney World.
But it's always full.
Yeah,
it's always full. They planned to expand it across there's like an area across the street. It's like a little street, and they've got an area behind, and they planned to expand it. But it didn't turn out to be that popular. So they were going to expand the DVC, and they decided not to because they didn't need to. And it was kept for quite a while as like you could walk around this little lake and you could walk around it. But I believe they've sold it now, and I think it might be developed. Don't quote me on that though. But as with everything, there's conservation in the area. It can't be over a certain height and all that. So even if it is developed, I don't think it would ever encroach on Vero Beach.
It will just join all the other snowbird gated resorts that are across that entire part of Florida.
Yeah.
Robin, can I just pick up on the conservation bit that you mentioned there? Because I think that came as a big surprise to me. Because when everybody talks about, you talk about Disney, you talk about an awful lot of the, for want of a better word, the nickel and diming that goes on within the Orlando area. But actually, when you get to Vero, there's this, because you said about the lobby area, but actually on the beach, you've got the sea turtles, and there are lots and lots of nesting grounds just right outside the hotel, and rather than it being a disturbance, and they actually encourage people to steer clear of that area, even though it messes up their prime site on the seafront and all that, because they are so much into that preservation part of it, and actually just to get the loggerhead sea turtles to hatch. And I think there are sort of talks within the hotel, and you can actually, even if you get up very early some days, you can actually, there's a observation deck where you can actually go and you'd be able to see them actually after they've hatched, actually going back into the sea.
You can go all the way down to the beach. Yeah, you can go all the way down to the beach to watch them, but obviously from a distance. Yeah, there's always like outside patrols up and down, because we tend to go earlier in the year, so we go when they're just laying. So we often see the marks in the sand, and then this is what the people that go up and down the beach looking for. And then they put sort of netting around it to make sure no one goes near it until they're ready to hatch, and then they make their way down. But one thing that they do,
it's quite beautiful though, isn't it? You feel as if you're actually part of something that's so natural. It's something to behold.
So special, so special. Yeah. And actually, at the resort, they don't have any light. They have big like bushes, for want of a better word, to hide any light from the resort, so it doesn't put off the turtles from coming and laying, which I think is really lovely as well. So they're really keen on conservation and protecting the sea turtles and protecting the ocean. They're very, very hot on it, and I think it's lovely. It's really you do feel at one with nature. We don't live near the beach. We're not as lucky as you, John. But to walk along the beach at sunrise or even at sunset, where no one's really going in, you just the sun's setting, the started like golden hours here, and you've got the little piper birds going in looking for their food. Yeah. I can't tell you how much that, like, I've got goose pimples now just thinking of it. It's one of my favourite things to do ever. It's just beautiful.
That's the different thing at Vero. So East Coast to West Coast, you obviously don't get the sunset at Vero, but you do get the sunrise over the sea. So looking out over the ocean, you see that sunrising in the morning. So I think that's probably one of my favourite things to do when we're there, is seeing the sunrise
with
some alcohol. Some mimosas on the balcony.
We usually go to a local farm that's in the area, and we usually pick up some. It's like a proper orange farm, so we pick up some freshly squeezed orange juice and get some champagne or prosecco, and that's usually our wake up. But at least one of the days.
Yeah,
I have been known to go back to sleep after the sun's up.
Is that bit of being at one with nature, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. It's just, you don't associate that with a Disney hotel and the theme of a Disney hotel. And equally, you're talking about the amount of detail that there is no lighting from the hotel visible from the beach, simply because those turtles need to be able to see the reflection of the moon on the sea in order to release themselves into the wild in the correct direction. And it's just like, it's not messing with nature. And I love that thing. It kind of reminds me an awful lot of the Animal Kingdom sort of conservation
Disney's
element.
attention to detail and how they change things, why they don't have fireworks in Animal Kingdom, why they do things in a different way versus the parks. And it's just nice to know that conservation is through how that they've done it at a different resort. Talking of the resort,
I think it is a requirement along most of the turtle breeding grounds that hotels, buildings facing it can't have any lighting that is probably anything other than amber colour that could be mistaken for it. But obviously Disney have gone to that extent to protect that front completely with the high hedgerows, all the dark inward facing amber lighting, and all of the rooms as well. The balcony bits are set back so that you don't get the lighting, even if you've got your curtains or your drapes open in the rooms. It's not excessively filtering to the outside. So
there is a little note on the doors asking you to, if it's nighttime or evening, to try and limit the light as much as possible. So consider closing your drapes if you're in the room and have the light on, which you'd think would come naturally, like to people. If I'm in the bedroom with the light on and it's dark, should probably close them anyway.
Yeah.
But I like that they do those little. They pay attention to detail. But I'll ask you first. What do you think makes the resort feel like Disney? We've talked about how amazing it is, but what is it that gives it the Disney?
It's hard to pinpoint one thing. I think the family element elevates it a little bit for me above Disney, but it still has that quintessential bit of perfectionism like Disney. It's quite polished. There's a Disney kind of sheen on everything as well. But it's filled with, the accommodation's great. There's loads of a variety of accommodation, from like the regular studio rooms and 1 and 2 beds. You've got the outbuildings, which are slightly different to the actual main lodge building. There's the cottages as well. But so you've got a familiarity about the Disney accommodation. You know what to expect with that.
You can find hidden Mickeys in the bedspread. There's things like that. And obviously there's Dole Whip. Best part, staying there. You can get Dole Whip at any time and there'll be no line.
No queue for Dole Whip. Okay,
no queue for Dole Whip. So that's always a plus.
So it feels familiar. It feels like a Disney resort, but it feels different. So there is the accommodation's familiar. The restaurant model is similar in that they've got like a quick service and a table service option. All of the cast members are really familiar in that same Disney kind of basic traditions training that they all have, and the scale of like activities you can do at the resort as well. So it's just got that Disney familiarity, just in a different beachside resort with a more family orientated kind of team running it. They're a bit more familiar with each other, and they don't have quite the same turnaround of staff. So you see the same people. Just feels like a family running it when you're there.
Yeah.
I will say, one thing that surprised me, Disney, you don't ever get anything free. They have free campfire sing-along with s'mores. Not just
free.
Not just the marshmallows, the full-on s'mores kits, completely free. Well, they say it's completely free, but you have to sit through the sing-along and participate first. So, depends how much you want a s'more, I guess. What about you, John? What do you think is how do you know it's a Disney resort? What makes it Disney?
I've got to say, this, in prepping for the show, one of the biggest things that came from the kids was the fact they always remember the pool area, and that in itself, the water slide that's in the main pool, but the hidden Mickeys that are surround the pool, the putting, it's just like it's a small putting bit, but it's got so many hidden Mickeys within that you kind of feel that it crosses that bit. You kind of wonder if you're in some part of, like we said before, Old Key West or whatever, but you're not, and you're in a completely different environment, and yet they still managed to take that Disney bit with you, and I think that's one of the main standouts. But again, I think Simon, you mentioned it there. It's the attention to detail, and we certainly went. We went when the kids were much younger, and on our first one, I think there was a pirates evening, and so we had Pirate Goofy. Oh
my God, we've done that a few times.
Yeah. But
the best evening.
It was so fantastic, and it was just like you just got totally into it. And again, you just, because you can't go out, you don't want to be out the hotel. You want to be in the hotel and just absorbing everything that the cast members in the hotel were just giving everything on that really high level of Disney professionalism. And I think that is the one thing that you come away from there and you think, hang on a minute, I'm going to other resorts that have maybe not quite stepped back up to the mark as it was. These guys haven't forgotten about how Vero's just sets itself differently and sets itself really high. But I think you nailed it, both of you, with the fact that it's the people who are there.
We missed that.
They have not brought that back. The pirate dinner.
I know.
But John, do you remember the price of that?
It's probably a good thing. It was dead cheap. It was just like
it was
ridiculous.
So cheap. Yeah. It was all you could eat. There was like a whole performance. Yeah. They had the kids up doing dance things
with
and
bandanas. The whole lot was just like absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. And
treasure to find. Oh, we loved that. We've done it a few times.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it was like $25 an adult, and there were 2 characters, all you can eat buffet with barbecue-y type.
It was a bit Trails Endy kind
of buffet,
chicken and cornbread and stuff. But for the money and for that, it was great fun.
It was photo opportunities.
Just have something with characters, and I think that's something that also just reminds you is a Disney resort.
Yeah.
Another thing they used that was a Monday night the Pirate Night used to be on, and again pre-pandemic they used to have a character brunch on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Again, hasn't come back, sadly. There's always talk of it. Yeah. It hasn't gone forever, I hope. But so the question: do you see characters at Vero Beach? Well, you can. Sometimes the characters come out around the pool and they play with you, play games, stop for photos, and sometimes they don't, and there's just no way of knowing. They don't come out at certain times. It's completely random. So
that sounds a bit like what they've started doing in Walt Disney World, where when we were there in June, that we just got to Coronado Springs, and there was like Goofy, Pluto, and Donald just arrived. It was just completely random, out of the blue. Didn't even realise this was a thing, but it's something they've started to do, introducing random characters.
Yeah. I love that. It reminds me of Disney Gone By, so I think it's fabulous.
Something you don't plan for, and it's just that extra. It's magical because it just happens.
Yeah. Absolutely. So you can sometimes see characters, sometimes you don't. The characters you normally will see are Goofy and Donald. Yeah. I haven't heard of another character there. Don't think. I think it's just those 2.
Yeah.
But they do have random times they come out. It's not ever guaranteed. But I think you mentioned as well, John, they've got like a little mini golf that you just go and ask them for the golf clubs. There's no fee. There's like there's the big pool, but then if you've got little ones, they've got like a little splash park that's on a pirate ship, and it's really, really sweet. And we've got friends with little ones that went, and they loved that area. They spent their whole time there.
Yeah.
I think the other great bit there is that they really put quite a lot of attention into the kind of round the pool activities.
Yeah.
And there's just something always going on from the entertainment staff from like early, like mid-morning, I think, when the pool's open.
Well, they do early morning. They do at sunrise yoga. They do all sorts of stuff. There's stuff to do.
Always something there. And then the entertainment staff do things around the pool throughout the day. So whether that's slide racing, like they time people going down slides.
I forgot about that.
So like the quiz thing that is, and bingo. There's just loads of stuff going on around the pool all day
It just
long.
sounds like a Disney cruise, but at Vero Beach.
It's a little bit like that. It's, you know, when you check into a Walt Disney resort and they give you a schedule of activities and you go, oh, these sound great, I'm going to Magic Kingdom, and you never look at it again.
Yeah.
Well, because you don't have Magic Kingdom to go to, you do actually spend time looking at it. Some of the activities are free, some of them are paid, like the martini tasting and the margarita tasting. Sadly, those are not free. But they do a tasting a day. So as an adult, you can sign on to those. Not that I have any experience, of course. They do the typical tie-dye things. They do painting a shell. They do lots, and they're aimed at different things. They do kayaking, which is obviously a paid one, but they do think sort of something for everyone at different times of the day. And they also, forget the best part, they've got a spa. So you can go, you can have a treatment.
I have a feeling we might be adding this onto our next trip. It's like we've got Disney Cruise next year. So
yeah.
Well, do you know what? You stay there for 2 nights before or after the cruise.
Yeah.
Just a little taster. Okay. Though I feel like, how long did you stay when you went, John?
We were only a couple of nights both times, and actually, you kind of, it's always left us with that feeling of, I'd like to go back again, and just because it's a bit like you're just putting your toe in the water, and you're not there long enough to go and explore the wider area as well. Although you're in the car, because if you go on the outlets or whatever, but there's loads along that coast, and I think that's the other thing as well. You could use it as a base for, if Simon's been there working and used it as a base, so you could actually
Kennedy
use it.
Space Centre.
Yeah, and you could actually use it to go and explore further along. I think one of the biggest things
they've got some really nice. Sorry, I was going to say they've got some really nice nature areas that you just can go park up and go and spot manatee, go and spot alligators. Go and spot different kinds of birds. There's so many different kinds of birds in Florida. We usually will spend a little time. We kind of balance it, sometime in the resort, sometime outside, and we usually will go to one of the nature areas along the inlet. We usually go to the farm. We always go to the farm. They got loads of locally produced stuff, and it's always a nice little visit. And we'll usually go to the outlets for a little while. We tend to spend some time eating in the resort and some time outside, but we usually go for 3 nights. So 3 nights, I feel like as long as we do one meal, one dinner and one breakfast there in the night, like sit down restaurant, then for the other meals we tend to go and visit some local eateries. There's some nice ones that are literally huts out over the water, so they're quite nice to go. And we sat one time watching dolphins just jumping around from the window. So I feel like there's so much to offer.
There's a really good like lunch place right next to the resort actually called Beach Bites.
Yeah, so you can walk from the beach, you walk down the little platform, turn to the left, and you go up the next platform, which is
I know what you mean.
Less than 5 minutes walk. And then they do great sandwiches in this little proper dive little shop.
But it's rammed with people all that have driven there, all from the area to buy their lunch sandwich place.
Oh, we had the best sandwich there. But yeah, there's so much. If you want to stay at the resort, we'll do usually one day where we don't leave and we just stay at the resort all day. Yeah. But there's so much in the area as well.
There's so many varied like options of food places. You've got all the bits around Vero, which are either beachfront or they face the riverside, and you've got on both sides of that river side as well. And then you've got further up at the Sebastian Inlet area, you've got all of the restaurants on the Sebastian Inlet area as well, which there's just an endless amount of options from like tiki bar type stuff to like the chicken in a basket type place to much more high end places. So you'll never go short of like food and eatery options anywhere around there, especially in Vero and Sebastian. They are absolutely everywhere, and most of them are really quite good places to go.
I think it's also worth pointing out as well, this is a place that you really do need a hire car with you. It's not great for transportation otherwise, because everything is so far away from from the hotel. So again, if you've got a car, to me this is one of those places that you put on the list and you think, I want to achieve a bit of a different part of the holiday. If you're a sun lover, it's an absolute must do. If you just want to chill out before you go home, or a chill out before you get to Orlando, it's a great stop off on that front. And it's also, it's kind of, it breaks the journey up from either Fort Lauderdale or Miami if you're heading further up to either Orlando or even Melbourne or Port Canaveral as well. So it's one of them bits that you're thinking, I'm not having to do like 5-hour drive right down to Miami in one go, which I don't recommend, even though I've done it a few times.
Yeah,
it is an absolute killer of a drive, and having a bit of a chill out is amazing. I think you mentioned before about having turning the lights out, or having the lights dimmed, or shutting the curtains whilst you're sleeping. One of the best rooms that you get is the one that overlooks the Atlantic, and part of me just could never resist the fact that once the kids have gone to sleep, you just have to open the curtains, so you've just got the sound of the sea, and then when you just get into that first tiny bit of light of a morning, you suddenly awaken to the fact that the sun is about to just creep across the horizon, and you're just looking right across somewhere that certainly for us, it was going to be, you're going to be on an airplane hours later, and you're going to be traveling thousands of miles in that direction, and it just plays with your mind a little bit, but you're just like, it's that bit where just the rest of the world is out there, and you're just for just that little second in time, you've just got that moment of peace overlooking everything, and it's wonderful. It really is.
I completely agree. It's that's one of my favourite things to do. And we always aim to do it the first morning, because if there's clouds on the horizon, it still looks pretty, but it doesn't quite have the same effect. Yeah. So we've got plenty more other chances the next day to have just a clear view. Yeah. But sitting on the balcony, wrapped up in whatever you've got to hand, a towel, a sheet, whatever's there.
Because of the no-see-ums.
We'll get to that in a minute. Just watch it in your hand, watching the sun come up there's nothing quite like it. But yeah, to me, the only downside is they get a lot of bugs that are called affectionately no-see-ums, because they're so very tiny you don't see them, but they bite, unfortunately. The upside is you can get different types of repellent, and actually the resort has some. So they've got a big, huge tub of it. They've got a few of them dotted around, but you can just go out. When we stayed in one of the beach cottages last year, which are 3-bedroom ones on the front. The bedrooms don't overlook it. The upstairs is the living area, so you've got the sea view from the living area. But we took a little tub, so we could put some in for the next morning. So when we went out there to watch the sunrise, we could all put some of this cream on, just to try and stop the no-see-ums, because they don't like it. And you could get them. Sometimes they're bad, sometimes they're not. Depends on the wind direction, the temperament, the temperature. You just don't know. So it's always best to use the cream, just in case, because the bites, they're not infectious, really. They're just irritating and itchy.
Yeah.
They seem to quite enjoy. They do enjoy my wife to the no-see-ums, though. I'm sorry. It's one of her lasting memories of flying home from Miami. Is like just that
itching,
scratching bit. Yeah, but also having known about it, we did go to Walmart. Don't go to the normal sort of pharmacy bit. Go to the fishing section and go for the proper fishing person's. Deterrent,
I agree.
Which is high in DEET, I think the higher the deep content, the better. They don't particularly like that. Yeah. But Ben, sorry, I cut you off. I do apologise.
What was your question, Ben?
Yeah, I was just saying, what are the room options like? Because I know in a normal Disney Vacation Club resort, you've got like studio, 1 bedroom. Is there many differences, or is it follow the same sort of?
So in a DVC resort in, say, Orlando, you get the studio, the 1 bedroom, a 2 bedroom, and a grand villa. Their version of the grand villa is the beach cottages, so they don't have any other 3 bedroom. There's only 5 or 6 of them. There's not many. And then they have another category as well, and they have in rooms. So that's in the main hotel bit, rather than the outside buildings are all the DVC 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, studios. And then the main building is just in rooms. And then they have ocean view in rooms and standard view in rooms, which can face the pool, they can face the side, they can face the road. Yeah. It's worth it for the ocean view, isn't it, John?
100%. And we actually stayed in one of those in rooms I think it was on the upper floor, and it was just it is just the most beautiful place. The previous time we'd stayed in a DVC place, which is just set a little bit further back, and you don't get the view. If you're in the in room, you're actually part of that hotel. It is just amazing, and
if you're going for an ocean resort, you've got to have that ocean view.
Yeah, exactly. We did it once. We had a standard view. We were cheap on points, and it was 10 points a night facing inwards, or 15 points a night facing the ocean. So we did the cheap ones, and then we've never done it since. We've always gone for ocean views. It's worth mentioning though. So the studios are like traditional studios. So they have a king bed and a sofa, whereas the in rooms have 2 king beds.
Okay.
Two queen. What do they call them? Queen beds.
They call them queen.
Queen. American queen. So it's like king to us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the only difference. They still have the kitchenette area. They still have a shower. They have a shower over the bath. The rooms are not all the same size. They have all different, and you don't know. You just book one of them. Sometimes they're on a corner and they've got a big thing. Some of the balconies have got a solid wall. Some of them have got a slotted wall, so you can see through. It's kind of.
Some of them are different based on the roof as well. If your room is further up into the pitch of the roof, you can end up with a slightly larger room to make up for the shape of the roof above it. So, and some of those are really interesting, but there aren't. Yeah,
there's no bad rooms.
There's no real bad rooms there.
They're all amazing.
But we prefer being in actually one of the in-building rooms because we like the feel of the lobby, parking under the lobby, and there's a lift in the car park underneath that takes you straight up to the floor. But it's just been part of that main building. And even when we stayed in the cottage last year, we actually prefer the feel of being in the main building. Yeah. The cottage was really nice.
It worked well. Space, there was 6 of us, so it worked well for us to have a family to gather and a table to sit round and the sofas to sit round, which was nice. But we thought we'd be killed and we'd never want to stay in an in-room again. But actually, we were like, it's not actually that hard going back. And we stayed again.
We were in the in-room in May this year when we had the ocean view in the in rooms.
We have it booked again for May next year as well.
Yeah. Oh wow!
Can't resist. We do after that first day when we stayed in the standard view facing the road. We got home and we bought some points at Vero Beach. Just a small little contract.
Don't blame me.
That's how much we love it. We really think it's worth it. The points are pretty cheap if you do want to actually own some DVC points. They're pretty cheap there, but the maintenance fees, the dues are higher. Because
I think they're one of the highest. Yeah, I think they're one of the highest.
The risk of hurricane and that side of it and damage.
I'm sure John understands living by the sea. Your houses, they just wear quicker with the sea, the salty air, and
it's for a particular time of year. It's with Walt Disney World. You have like the seasons that are like peak. Is there a particular time of year you would recommend to go?
I wouldn't go in the winter. Okay. Only because you never know what the weather's going to be like in Florida in the winter. 1 week or 1 day, you're melting, you're dying, you've got all the fans and the cooling towels on you, and the next day you've got a hat, scarf and gloves. So for me, I really enjoy the sun there. I enjoy spending some time around the pool, although we don't do it all day every day. I like that aspect of it. So I'd probably miss being able to sit and chill around the pool. But I'm sure there probably is. I mean, it'd probably be quite lovely to get wrapped up and go for a lovely walk along the beach, even if it's chilly. The upside is if you go when it's cold, you'll see more manatees that are on the inlet because they'll all come in because it's cold.
Yeah.
And they want to go to the nice warm waters. So that's definitely a plus.
The one noticeable thing is that it's always a couple of degrees cooler than Orlando because you get the direct onshore winds.
It is the onshore.
Yeah.
It's always just got that slight reduction by a few degrees.
Which can be lovely in summer.
Yeah.
In the hot weather, it can be a lovely relief.
Yeah.
What about you, John? What do you think?
We've only ever been in the height of summer. And actually, it's weird because, again, just sort of prepping for tonight, one of our visits there, we were just days before a hurricane was scheduled to arrive, a tropical storm. So we got out before that, and I remember we were on the plane, and we went on this massive diversion out of Miami. So again, it's the luck of the draw. If you go for the sunshine, it is Florida. You've got to accept you're going to have August, September time, even into October. You're going to find tropical storms are an issue, and it was just like there can't be a bad time, but you want to feel that warmth, and I certainly know where I live. I take great amusement anytime Ben says he's absolutely sweltering down in the south of England, and we've got like mist coming in off the sea, and it's like 5 degrees, So it's just like you get used to being in that climate when you're beside the sea because and especially the Atlantic. Like Simon said, it depends on where the prevailing wind's coming from as well because you can actually pick up a few storms that just come in. But it is what it is, and actually, it's the most amazing resort, and it's just one of them things. Just go and enjoy it. I think for you, Ben, I think it's one of them places that because you're a DVC owner, you probably get some quite good value out of it as well. And so it just allows you to get out of that bubble, get out and explore.
It's weird. Our next trip, we are trying to avoid parks, the temptation. Yeah. So maybe having a few days. The cruise is booked on Saturday to Saturday. So maybe we'll fly out on a Wednesday, a couple of days at Vero.
See, cool. You could have a few days at Vero before just to chill out.
That sounds
I think a lot of people tend to do that. That's what we did.
And especially with all the stuff that's been happening more recently with like flight cancellations, and at least then it takes that thing out of like missing the cruise.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah, definitely.
There's a reason Becca's not on tonight's show. It's because otherwise we'd have been hooked already.
When she listens back, she's going to be like, what?
Yeah. If it's not already
thinking what you said about best time to go, if you're a huge turtle fan and you want to see either the turtles up on the beach laying, because you can get like night vision goggles to look out for them, or if you want to see the magic of them hatching, and obviously you never know when that's going to happen, but that's kind of like they usually hatch around April-May time. Sorry, they lay them around April-May time and hatch later into the summer, like August, September, I believe, maybe even into October from memory, don't quote me on it. So if you really are interested in turtles and it's something that's important to you, those could be some great times to go. Okay, I've got another question for you.
Oh, no. Here we go.
John, what advice would you give to someone who's debating a trip to Vero, other than what I tend to agree with you, get a car? Is there any other advice you'd give to someone that's debating on planning a trip? What advice would you say?
I think it goes back to where we started at the beginning of the show, is the fact that it's such a hidden gem, and it's such it's a place that a lot of people who are going to Florida would never have heard of. They would never even have thought it was even on the map, because it's not on your radar at all. And I think for me that is if anything else, if only just one person listens to this show and ends up spending even just one night at Vero, it would make me very happy, because it is actually, that's how we ended up there, purely by accident and purely by the fact that we just wanted somewhere completely different, but we didn't want to be out of. We actually loved that Disney part of it because the kids were younger, and we didn't want that kind of run of the mill hotel, and so it's just that it's that bit of getting out of your little sort of constraint of where you've kind of always been. Of, we're going to Florida, but we're actually not really going to Florida. We're just going to Orlando, and just branching out and seeing the history of these places is quite something else. And even like we've spoken about the nature, but also different parts of Florida have got some amazing architecture as well, which is just.
It's what we said, John. We've got to make a series out of this.
I think so. You can see what I'm doing here, Robin. Don't tell Ben.
I'm with you.
There are so many places that we've actually thought about going in Florida, because, like you said, it's huge. And the thing is, it is. It's one of those things when you tell someone you're going to Florida, their instant reaction is, I'm going to Disney. So, yes, you're going to Orlando, but actually there's more to Florida than there is. Whether it's you're flying in, like you said, John, you flew into Miami or flew out of Miami. It's one of those things. There's so much. If you'll have Disney as part of your trip, but if you do 2, 3, 4 weeks, a longer trip, and that's the thing is, if you go back also year after year, you don't always want to do the same 2-week holiday every year. Some people do,
and that's exactly what I was going to say. Sometimes I wouldn't recommend it on the first trip. Honestly, I would say, do you know what? If you love Disney. Go and spend 2 weeks in Disney and have the best time ever. But if you're fortunate enough that you can go more than once, you've been a few times, and you're looking for something new to add in, but still Disney, but just different, I think that for me, that's the advice I would give. If you love Disney, but you want to do something just a bit different, go to Vero. And get a Dole Whip for me.
I'm now hungry. I want a Dole Whip.
Yeah.
Simon, do you know they don't just do regular Dole Whip?
Oh, now we're talking.
They do key lime Dole Whip as well. Yeah. What about you? What would your advice be?
My advice would be venture out and see a little bit of the local area, explore some of the other eateries, because I know when everybody's in Orlando, everybody's either eating at Disney or they're eating in a myriad of like Garden Group restaurants, Olive Garden, they're always at the same batch of restaurants. Vero has just got some really decent hidden gems for eating, and that could be a really small chain like Squid Lips along there, do like chicken in a basket, fried fish in a basket, but it's really good, cheap, easy to get to. But then Vero Beach has just got some really good Italian restaurants, great pizza, really good fish and seafood all the way along that bit of coast. So I say, if you've got a car because you're going to Vero Beach, just do that little bit of research and find a couple of those nice places to explore, just to take you out of your typical Orlando eating comfort zone.
I've got another tip, actually, I've thought of. I would always try and encourage people to go for 3 nights. That's my tip.
Yeah.
2 just isn't enough, because you've got the day you arrive and the day you leave. You've only got 1 day in the middle. It's not really long enough. No. That's okay. If you're planning to go, you're going to get an Uber there from the airport, say, or to the airport. You're just going to stay in the resort. You're not going to leave it. You're not interested in the local area. That's fine. Yeah. But if you do want to see some more of what Florida has to offer rather than just Orlando, go for 3 nights. So then you've got 2 full days in the middle that you can spend some time at the resort, spend some time outside. That would be my advice. Try if you can. If you can pull yourself away from the Orlando bubble, which is hard, I'm going to agree. Try and do 3 nights. I think 3 nights.
Maybe flying to Melbourne instead of MCO. At least you're then further away.
Well, there we go.
It's one of those things.
Yeah, you can go there for a few nights just before you go home. But It is difficult to get to without a car. Yeah. I think getting an Uber there, an Uber driver might not be too pleased driving an hour and 45 minutes out of the way. But maybe they would be okay with it because they're going to get a really big fare. I don't know.
It's probably just worth hiring a car.
Yeah, really, you need to hire a car.
It costs to hire a car for a couple of days or so.
Exactly. Even if you stay in Disney, you don't normally. Just if you've got a driving license, it's very easy. Hire it for a couple of days, and once you leave the Orlando area, it's not busy. The roads aren't busy. You're okay. You'll be fine. I promise.
And I'd say, you're going to need you're going to need that extra morning, because if you've been to the countryside family farms and bought half a gallon of orange juice,
you need that
extra morning to drink it.
Especially champagne.
That's the farm we usually go to, which is really cute for a look around. If you've got kids, they've got like little things, like there's a photo of Simon. I will send it over to you, Ben, of Simon sitting on a tractor, which is meant for kids, I think, to sit on. But Simon was up there living his best life, a real tractor, not a pretend one. But they have like little photo opportunities and stuff. They've got a little pond there, and they have ice cream and stuff straight away. But then they have like locally grown fruit and locally made like jams and pickles and stuff.
Loads of which has been made with fruit grown on that farm.
Yeah, it's made from that farm. So.
They have their orange. They freeze a whole load of their orange juice that they then sell as concentrate throughout the year. But if you're there, and I think it is around the April-May time when they actually do a lot of their juicing, that's when you can get the really fresh Florida orange juice from the farm. So we always try to just get one of the big cartons of it, a couple of bottles of Prosecco or champagne or something that we've got.
A couple of bottles for other people. We don't just get a couple for us.
That's why you took 3 nights.
We're now at the secret life of the Watsons here, you see. There's not enough fresh orange juice in the whole of Florida to water down the Prosecco or the champagne.
Yeah, I think we've convinced Claire, though, haven't we? Prosecco, mimosas at breakfast. She'll be there.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, definitely.
You don't even need an excuse. Yeah, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
It's after 5 p.m. somewhere. It doesn't matter where.
Yes, exactly.
If anyone's listening and wants any more information, get in touch with us on our socials. Robin also mentioned about Watson's Do Disney. Get in touch with Robin as well. These guys know loads about Vero, much more than I do. But it's a brilliant place. It's just like, go and have a look. Just Google it and go and just have a look at some of the pictures that are on Google, because it's incredible.
Oh, you don't need to Google. I'm going to send Ben over 100 photos that he can use.
I think what we'll do,
we'll
create like an album on our Facebook group, so you can just scroll through.
That's a fabulous idea. Yeah. I think we should do that, and I'll dig out all my Vero Beach photos over the years, and we can put them in an album just to get you excited and try and convince you to book a trip.
There's almost definitely some of us dressed in pirate outfits at the pirate dinner.
I'm beginning to think that, Simon, as well. I was about to say I could embarrass the kids with some of the pictures, but I'm probably going to embarrass myself with some of them as well.
Yeah, there's definitely some embarrassing. What's quite embarrassing is no one else dressed up, so it was just our party.
All adults, all dressed up in pirate gear.
Brilliant.
But we were doing a cruise, so my excuse is, we were doing a cruise. We needed them on the cruise. So
we're getting ready. It was just preparation. Just make sure that
Yeah.
Wonderful. Brilliant.
So I think that's where we call it for this evening.
Yeah.
If there's as John said, if there's anyone any questions, drop us a message. We're Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, anywhere. Just drop us a message and we'll get back to you. Any questions at all. But thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you, Ben. Hopefully, have we convinced you to book a trip now?
I think it's going to happen. You're going to have to wait till next September to know whether we're going or not.
That's such a long time. I think I need to know before then.
I think we need to book another trip between now and then, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't wait till then. No. You definitely need another one before then. Get some great, cheap, last-minute deals with TUI, I'm just saying. Yeah. You want to go out in the next
few
weeks?
Melbourne. Yeah,
exactly. Fly to Melbourne. What's just down the
road?
Vero. And thank you to John as well.
Just before you sign off, Robin, can I just say what an absolutely marvellous job you've done of hosting the mid-month show. So a massive well done, a massive thank you. And I'll put your name down for every show between now and next April. Next April, we'll start on that front,
You'll be sick of the sight of me and sick of the sound of my voice by then.
Well done, because I know this has been a real massive hurdle for you, and it's just one of them things that when you're with people like me and Ben, and you've sort of been sort of a new part to what we're doing, I know how difficult it is, and you've done a great job. So a massive thank you, and
thank you very much.
Well done.
Thank you very. Well, thank you. I'm glad I've done you proud.
You certainly have.
But yes, so you may see me hosting in the future, or you may not. Depending on how well received this is. So please like and comment as much as possible.
And tell Robin what a great job she's done.
Yes, convince me to host again, please. And hopefully we've helped anyone who was on the fence about a possible Vero Beach stay. Wasn't sure what it offered or if it was worth it. Hopefully we convinced you just to give you that extra little nudge to say, just do it. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to click the subscribe button so you don't miss out on our future shows. We'd love it if you'd be kind enough to share the show with your friends and family who enjoy talking about Disney as much as we do. So come and join us in the Waffle's Arms, our Facebook community where we gather together and share all the latest Disney news, trip countdowns, not short enough, and lots more. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at GB Mickey Waffle. Thank you again for joining us today, and there's just one thing left to say. Waffle on!
Vero Beach.
Waffle on.
Take me to Vero.